When you think of Camaros, you think of these big hunks of metal that try to outmuscle a Mustang in terms of beefiness. But what if I told you that not too long ago, in the 90s, the Camaro was about other vibes, namely that of an exotic sports car? This right here is a 1996 Chevy Camaro Z28 in 1/18 scale by ERTL. I stumbled upon this car on eBay and I managed to get it, without box, for €21 and €15 shipping. Which I think is a great price for something that can easily set you back twice as much. Now it was listed as defect for parts, but when I hear that category, I usually think of stuff like a model with a missing wheel, or lack of side view mirrors, a broken door, a huge crack on the windshield, etc. The only problem with this model is that the paint on the foglight area was cracked and had begun to peel off on one side, as you can see in these images. That included parts of the Chevy bow tie as well. The seller also said there was some yellowing on the dashboard, which, however, my camera can't even pick up. There's like 2 air bubbles on the driver's side A-pillar. And the passenger side door is kinda loose, but shuts without issues, which is more important, I think. So those are small issues I can live with, and hence I'm happy with my purchase. Considering this is a somewhat rare Camaro compared to the other generations that are much easier to find, let's talk about this car. This GM F-body is the 4th gen Camaro, which is basically a roundified 3rd gen Camaro. The 80s were over, the bubbly 90s were here, the Barbie girl decade, and people wanted to see a makeover. The Gen 4, the most feminine and elegant looking Camaro ever made, was made from 1993 to 2002. So, basically until the decade of peak fun and innocence in America withered away due to, Now, the livery of this model is very similar to the 30th anniversary edition, but it isn't that one, because the Gen 1 Camaro first came out in 1967, so the 30th anniversary would have been in 1997. But this is a 1996 model, also evidenced by the taillights. Because in 1997, these taillights were split to become tricolored by featuring orange indicators underneath the reverse lights. As for the choice of colors, not only does the Arctic white and Hugger orange combo look cool, but it's also a tribute to the 1969 Camaro Indianapolis 500 pace car. Now, the hardtop coupe version of this Camaro looked similar to the Pontiac Firebird Trans Am of the 90s, except for that one having pop-up headlights, and which in turn looked similar to the Chevy Corvette of the 90s as well. So a lot of the American sports cars of the 90s were rocking that round vibe, and I believe it's because they were trying hard to piggyback on the success of the Japanese imports that had claimed the American sports car market in the mid-90s, like the Acura NSX, Toyota Supra, Mitsubishi Eclipse, and Mazda RX-7. So taking a look at the front of the 1/18 scale 1996 Chevy Camaro Z28 by ERTL, you can see that the front is very realistically done, at least in terms of overall mold shapes and all that. Let's get the worst out of the way first. You can see down there my attempts to fix what was broken. I basically used white paint to try and paint over the affected areas. And it's not the exact same shade of white, but I mean, it's alright. And I did try to fix the Chevy bow tie by painting 2 additional lines in red with a paintbrush, so it's obviously not going to be as perfect as a decal. Flanking the Chevy bow tie on both sides, you can see that we have these white fog lamps, and they of course are not actual like plastic lights, but instead are just protrusions that have been painted white. And this is also something that you will notice for the headlamps. These are not separate bulbs, but instead just silver painted plastic bits that are part of the car body. Still, I think that given the way the headlights look, they still get the job done. And of course in the middle we have the old school Chevy Camaro badge. And then we have these 2 beautiful orange stripes that continue on the trunk. And now let's check out the hood. This is a 5.7-liter LT1 V8, also known as the Chevy Small Block, with 275 horsepower. The 30th anniversary edition that came out a year later in 1997 with the hood scoop and forced induction could improve this to 305 horses. I think that ERTL actually put a lot of detail into this engine because it's not just a single plastic piece but has a lot of depth. You can see the fan belt and the battery and intake hose. So overall it looks good. In 1998 the car received a facelift and these recessed headlights were replaced with more normal looking ones. But honestly they didn't look too good and this pre-facelift aged a lot better, I think. The wheels of this car have such a weird friction that it almost sounds like the car has an engine. Listen to this. Pretty cool. And taking a look at the side of the 1996 Chevrolet Camaro Z28, you can see that this being a convertible, of course, the side looks pretty typical for convertibles. We've got the Z28 badging behind the front fender, and there's really not much else to say here. Apart from the fact that the Gen 4 Camaro had a really nice side view mirror design, in that it was sort of integrated into the body styling with this long aerodynamic curve, a design that wasn't replicated in subsequent generations. We've got the signature white aluminum alloy wheels. I think they're 17 inches. Let's take a closer look at them. Now, behind the 5 spokes, you can see that it has like this weird black sort of material. I'm not sure why, but therefore you can't see the brake discs and calipers. But we do have branded tires. These are, as you can see, if I can get this to focus, Eagle GSCs. Goodyear tires, of course. And I believe it even says something here, although I can't read it. But if I move this a little bit, I should be able to also read what type of tire it is. ZR16s. 245, 54 ZR16s, I think. Of course, here's a close-up of that Z28 badging. And if we take a look at the rear wheel, these are the exact same. Although on the real car, I think they're slightly bigger. Now, one thing that's missing is that in the center, we're supposed to have a badge, but I think that's only on the SS version. This is the Z28, so maybe it doesn't come with one. Here's the gas cap, and of course we have the turn signal. Taking a look at the back of the 118-1996 Chevrolet Camaro Z28, you can see that the back is also done pretty well, apart from the fact that the taillights have these horrendous pegs, and there's like 2 on each, which is terrible, but considering that this is a model that's over 20 years old, probably close to 30 now, I can live with it. And apart from that, I like the fact that it's like in 2 different segments. Of course, we have the actual brake light, and then we have the reverse light in silver at the top. What I also like is that it says Camaro in this sort of engraving. And of course, we have the Chevy bow tie and the Z28 badge here to the right as well. Now, this car has Michigan rear license plates. It says Great Z28, Great Lakes, 1996, although it kind of says 0996, but anyway. Regarding the exhausts, the Z28 came with rectangular dual exhaust tips to distinguish it from the base model. Of course, the back of the car also has this beautifully done rear spoiler, which is sort of integrated into the bodywork, and very subtle. Now, here in the middle, it's actually supposed to have a brake light, but ERTL didn't model one, and they didn't even bother to put a sticker, so I guess that's the only thing that really sucks about it. And now let's check out the interior. And let's take a look at the door cards first. You can see that there is some detail here in the form of the door handle and the window crank, and we've got a little bit of a pattern here. It's kind of hard to focus, but it's there. Some dirt. But yeah. So checking out the interior, it's really nothing to write home about, because even though it does look good in the sense that there's like the climate control buttons, and then we have like this sticker here for the radio, the AM FM stereo, I think. And we have what I believe is a 6-speed manual. The actual dashboard, oh, there you can see a little bit of the discoloration, but nothing major. But I mean, the actual dashboard is like kind of kept in this gray and could have used a little bit of coloring. We have, for example, here these vents that also aren't separately painted or anything. And here is the glove compartment. And now taking a look at the seats. The seat inlays are supposed to have a cloth pattern called the hound's tooth, but ERTL didn't print it and instead just made them gray. At least we get the Chevy logo on the headrests, and keep in mind that the 30th anniversary edition would also say 30th anniversary right next to it. And now checking out the driver's side of the Chevy Camaro. You can see that the steering wheel looks just like the one on the real car. Again, it's a little bright and kept in this sort of similarly looking plastic as the dashboard, but otherwise it's okay. The gauge cluster right there is a sticker, but it looks nice. And then to the left of the steering wheel you have a few more buttons, and down there we have the floor pedals. And of course the cup holder here as well. So other than that, this is a pretty decent looking interior, but nothing special. Now, where ERTLs really shine is the undercarriage. I mean, take a look at this. This is a very detailed chassis. In fact, you can see a lot of stuff here. For example, we have I believe this is like the serial number or something. Of course, we have the fuel tank here, the muffler, the exhaust system, and here's the transmission. But over here, we also get radiators for the engine, and you can even see through here and into the engine, like from the underside, like the fan belt and everything. So that is a very nice level of detail, including these shocks here. Speaking of which, let's see if this car has suspension. Nope. No suspension on this ERTL. But yeah. So I hope you guys liked my review of the 1/18 scale 1996 Chevrolet Camaro Z28 by ERTL. I'm happy to have found this car and added it to my collection because this really took me by surprise when I came across it. And if you're interested in more Camaros, you might want to check out some of my other reviews over here. Take care, have a wonderful day. This is Imperial Diecast, signing out.